Hello, thank you for being with us today. I have with us here Anson Green. Anson, would you tell us about your article, the title of it, and why you chose to write for the COABE Journal?
Hi, yes, I'm Anson Green. I wrote this article called Texas Hold'em, Engaging Employers to Close the Skills Gap. And I really felt like what we had accomplished in Texas and adult education over the last 7 years was really a story I wanted to tell, because I see colleagues in other states, local programs, really trying to make a shift towards a more market-driven focus to not only the learners in their programs that are looking for work and coming for skills upgrading, but also to be a full partner in their business communities to bring a solution to help businesses who are struggling sometimes to find a skilled workforce and trying to figure out how to navigate adult basic education and local or state public systems.
Wonderful. And what do you hope will be the takeaway for our readers after they read your article?
Well, I hope it will first off kind of present in a kind of a historical story of kind of how we built from scratch these core elements that became very effective components of really focusing on a market-driven adult education system. And it's not to say we don't do family literacy and all the other community-focused and family-focused and personal development-focused programs, but what we really found lacking was a response to business needs and workforce development needs in our workforce systems and our local workforce development boards and others. The takeaways are that first off, this can be done and a system can be transformed. Sometimes people think they can't do that. A program that had 80,000 students and 6,000 staff and really shift it when the program transferred from an education agency to the Workforce Commission into a really workforce development organization. So I really go through the policy components that we put in place, the funding components, performance focus, branding and marketing, just all these different dimensions that not any one of them in their own right would accomplish kind of the creation of a new system, but it was all of these things kind of put together. I wouldn't say there was a genius idea at the very beginning, but we just went in and started to identify gaps, and those gaps are explained in detail, and then kind of how we tackled them and put them together. Because my hope is that at a state level or a local level, somebody can say, oh, well, we never thought about putting this component in place. Look at how they did it in Texas. Ours will look different, but now we get that that's something we're not even thinking about in our strategy.
Excellent, excellent. And I had the pleasure of listening to a general session keynote speech that you did a few years back. Would you tell our listeners a little bit about that? Just, I thought that was excellent. I thought it was very well done, and it really taps into what you're talking about here.
Yeah, that was a session, I recall it vividly, and I did it several times after that, and every time got more encouraged by it. But this was at a time when the system, adult education, was transitioning from WIA to WIOA, and really going through a big shift. I mean, that was a kind of a transformation in the law in many dimensions, much more work-focused, common measures with our workforce partners, and these other dimensions that before we could kind of ignore in adult education or pay a little bit of attention to, but we weren't beholden to them. We had already been going through this transformation for a couple of years in Texas when our program transferred from an education agency in 2013. So I kind of had this in my veins already and knew the pieces that were working and weren't working for us for a few years before the full transition of WIOA came on board. But that session was really about how the different perspectives represented in sometimes comical ways of what your partners and your customers and your providers might think about change, but also bringing to the very forefront kind of the promise that all of this held for the system, because there were so many assets that we saw that were being leveraged to really help adult education be more than that little GED class on the corner, but something that was really part of a community-based and workforce development system for transforming the economies of local areas and states.
Excellent. Well, I just want to encourage all of our readers to go and pick up your article. Can you give us the title one last time?
Yeah, it's called Texas Hold'em. It's got kind of a Texas theme throughout, and it's called Engaging Employers to Close the Skills Gap.
Fantastic. So Anson Green, thank you so much for your time. All of our COABE readers, I encourage you to go out and pick this article up. It's very well done.
All right. Thank you very much.